Welcome back to another GeekaWhat video, and today I'm taking you over the best £350 gaming PC build for 2016. So make sure to drop a like rating and to subscribe, but without any further ado, let's get straight into today's GeekaWhat video. So the first question I get asked regardless of the build or the parts list is, how will this PC perform? This build will perform very well in the latest AAA titles and is optimised for 1080p medium to high settings with a bit of anti-aliasing, textures on medium whilst achieving 45 to 65 frames per second. So without any further ado, let me take you over the best £350 gaming PC build for 2016. It really is remarkable what you can get for £350 now. The CPU I've gone for is the AMD Athlon X4 860K. It's a 3.7GHz CPU, meaning it can do 3.7 billion things per second. 3.7GHz isn't as high as some of Intel's high-end offerings, however 3.7GHz is very solid. It is also overclockable, but if you don't want to overclock, you don't have to, because the clock speed of this CPU is more than admirable. The quad core, the fact that it's got 4 cores, it's got no hyper-threading, but it does have 4 physical cores, and physical cores are always stronger than virtual hyper-threaded cores anyway, meaning it's compatible with all of the latest AAA titles. The motherboard I went for was the GeekaWhat GA F2A78M-HD2. It's a Micro ATX FM2 Plus motherboard, and at £33 it provides USB 3, PCI 3 and SATA 3 6GB per second, which really is all that you do need. The RAM I went for was 1 8GB DIMM of Kingston HyperX Fury Black. The reason I went for 1 8GB DIMM as opposed to 2 4GB DIMMs, as it provides no real performance depreciation, but allows you to upgrade to 16GB later on down the line without having to discard any RAM. Just shove another identical Kingston HyperX Fury stick into the motherboard and you get 16GB of RAM. I feel 16GB will be the sweet spot for 2016, and some of the latest AAA titles are already starting to prefer 16 over 8GB. You do have to remember 8GB has been the standard now for RAM for a couple of years. The storage I went for was a Seagate Barracuda 1TB hard drive. It's not going to be as fast as an SSD by any means, but 1000GB is more than enough space, and 7200 RPM really is as fast as hard drives get. 3.5-inch form factor, which is very normal, and for £35 it's yet another great value piece of kit for this build. The video card is where things get special. You might end up creating a slight bottleneck with the CPU with such a good video card, but if I'd have gone for a lower tier video card and a higher tier CPU, you would have seen a performance depreciation in comparison to this build. It's the GeekaWhat GeForce GTX 960. It's one of the lower end 960 cards, and it's only got 2GB of VRAM, but as I said, for 1080p that is ideal. You don't need any more than 2GB for 1080p. You can stretch over to a little bit of 1440p, but I wouldn't recommend it, and the cooler on this GTX 960 will allow for a little bit of overclocking, but nothing in comparison to GeekaWhat's 3X Windforce cooler, for example. The case I've gone for is another favourite of mine. It's a Thermaltake Versa H22. It's got a window on and it's an ATX mid-tower case size. You can go for something smaller for the motherboard if you want, but this case has got USB 3 and USB 2, so you can get fast transfer speeds and better support for legacy USB peripherals, and it's got a window on so you can admire all of your hard work when you are done. The power supply I went for was the EVGA 430W 80 Plus certified ATX power supply. It's a full-size ATX form factor, which is the norm, fits in this case perfectly, and is 430 watts. It's not overkill, but it's certainly enough for this build, which only draws 304 watts at load. The 80 Plus certification guarantees over 80% efficiency at all times, and it's an extremely solid power supply for just £30. I do love the power supplies EVGA do, and I rock an EVGA power supply in 2 of my computers. So that's it for this build for £350. If you did enjoy it, find it helpful, drop a like rating, make sure to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next GeekaWhat video.